also in your book toward the end about the issue around the right to die
Yes.
concepts. Why did you address that?
Well, life is so mysterious and precious and holy to me that I think we've got to make a distinction between what life is and what existence is. And we have in modern medicine developed incredible expansion of life, which I applaud. But there's a boundary that we cross where you stop expanding life and start postponing death. And I don't want to cross that boundary because I think death is just as natural as being born. And I think if it weren't for death, we wouldn't have a very good life. There's something about death that puts pressure on us to live now because you don't have forever. Someone said death rings the bell on all procrastination. I really believe that that's true. So that just as I prepare for whatever is beyond this life by living as deeply and fully and richly as I can, I also want to be so accepting of the reality that finitude is part of who I am, that when I can no longer see the smile of my beloved wife or know the touch of her hand, then I don't want to continue existence. And I want the moral right and the legal right to get to have my life come to an end without my having to shoot myself or starve myself, which is what people do today. That is, I want my doctor to have the legal authority at my will alone, not the hospital's will, not any relative's will, although I would delegate that decision to my wife in a moment. But I think that I have the right to make that decision for myself, and it's because I believe in life, and I don't believe that continued existence in some sort of an unanimated state or animated state with no real knowledge, I don't believe that's living.
As you write this book, our nation is engaged in a national debate over health care, which has included some very heated arguments over supposed death committees.
Those are very irrational arguments. The fact is that because we're hysterical about death in this country, what we do is to incur enormous cost in hopeless enterprises of keeping people alive another day, another week, another month. And I think that's foolish, and I don't believe that the resources of this nation ought to be used for that. It's a very dangerous political thing to do. But, I ran a hospital in Jersey City for 24 years while I was a bishop, and we face this issue every day. And there are ways to do it. And you're not talking about euthanizing grandma. That's a terrible political cliche. You're talking about a person who is artificially being kept alive on respirators and heart machines that beat for them. And I think that there's no reason to continue existence when life's meaning is past, and we ought to have a way to do that. Now you've got to put safeguards in because everybody's afraid of the slippery slope, and we had those safeguards in my little hospital. We had somebody other than the doctor attending had to come in and be the consultant and go over all the medicals, and we had the chaplain of the hospital, who happened to be an Episcopal priest because it was an Episcopal hospital, he would confer with the spiritual advisor, who might be a rabbi, a mullah, or a priest or a pastor in the family. We'd bring the members of the family in. Sometimes we would not bring all of the members in. We'd bring the members that were capable of making that decision in, because it's a tough decision and it's very guilt-producing. You don't want to place that decision on your children if your children would feel such enormous guilt at having decided that they were going to bring Dad's life to an end. But you share that with a lot of resources, and you make it really clear that this is a life decision, not a death decision, and you celebrate the life. I've done it one time in my life with a priest who was on a respirator and who was twice the size, and he was in a Roman Catholic hospital, and they wouldn't do it, and the doctor was there and he wouldn't do it, and his son was there and he wouldn't do it, but they both wanted me to do it, to just simply turn off the plug. I did, and this priest died within 15 minutes. He was not alive. He was artificially being breathed for. That's not living. And I treasure life so deeply, and it's so rich and powerful in experience that I don't want to see it deprecated by that kind of existence. That's not living.
I was thinking, at the time of your transition, what do you hope that you're thinking about? Or what?
Well, I just hope I'm in the arms of my wife, Christine. I think that's the happiest place I'll ever be. One of the images in the Bible, in St. Luke's Gospel, is that when Lazarus, the beggar, goes to whatever is beyond, it's described as being in Abraham's bosom. Well, my sense is if I'm going to spend eternity in somebody's bosom, I don't want it to be Abraham's. I'd rather it be my beloved wife. But, what gives life meaning is relationships, and the deepest relationship I have is with her. And so we can handle that, but in a hope I go first, because I think she's much more capable of living without me than I am without her. But the fact is that I hope whatever we do, we walk through that together. Death, loneliness is a piece of the death process, and if you've got somebody that you really care about that has shared your life with you, they can also share your death with you, and it transforms that experience. So I hope I'm there, and I hope I'm in her arms. And sounds interesting for a bishop to say that, doesn't it?
It sounds wonderful. I've had the honor and privilege of speaking with John Shelby Spong in his new book, Eternal Life, A New Vision. I want to make sure I get the subtitle, Beyond Religion, Beyond Theism, Beyond Heaven and Hell. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. We look forward to more reports on the topic of spirituality at the end of life in upcoming editions of In Focus.